Ghostbuster Sky 210
Ugh. AAA video games in 2023. You gotta love it, folks. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and act like an expert in the realm of Call of Duty, especially when it comes to the campaigns, because I'm really not. Like, I played a bunch of the first Modern Warfare campaign and the second one. I think I actually might have beaten both of those way back in the day on the Xbox 360, but after that, I just kind of moved on to the multiplayer stuff. But so many people were always harking on me. Oh, you don't play the campaigns? The campaigns are so much better. They're so much fun. You got to do this. You got to do that. They are experiences that you need to experience. And the multiplayer is a secondary thing for a lot of players. So I thought, maybe I have been missing out on something. I've dabbled in other Call of Duty campaigns since the first two Modern Warfare games, but I never really felt the need to finish them. But with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 storming onto systems now, I got the opportunity to get the campaign code for this game sent to me. So I thought, hey, you know what? It's a perfect time. I could probably beat this in a couple of days over the weekend. Check it out, have some fun with it, and share my thoughts. Now, I downloaded this game at roughly 12 o'clock on Friday afternoon. I played it for a little while, about a half hour or so. My grandmother came over and stopped by, so we had lunch together at my house, and then I continued to play the game after she left. I finished the game at 4:30 in the afternoon on the same day. Like, it was probably less than 4 hours. Less than 4 hours for a single player component of a game, something that people have been telling me, oh, it's so great, you have to experience it. And that's including cutscenes and stuff like that. So that's not just gameplay time, that's cutscene time as well. Okay, you know, extending things for, you know, unnecessary padding and stuff. I don't like that in video games. So maybe they managed to just do a tight, great story with great gameplay within this block of entertainment time that I have spent with this game. Maybe there's various reasons to go back and replay through the campaign as well. Special things you might have missed, paths you might have not taken in. Well, oh well. There's absolutely none of that. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I don't know if this is the exact same story as the original Modern Warfare 3, but there's characters that I remembered from the games and stuff like that. Like, whatever. I get it. You know, treasonous people and terrorists and chemical warfare and stuff like that. Like, it's all fine. The way that the story was told was fine. I didn't really have too many major qualms with it. It just wasn't overly exciting for me because a lot of these characters, I mean, I really just don't care about them. And I find it odd how there's no sort of like backstory for any of this. Like, it just sort of starts up. And if you don't know these characters, you don't know like their backstories and how they were in previous Call of Duty Modern Warfare games, this is completely missed out on you. A simple little recap video could have done a lot of good for this game. And like I said, I'm not the most well-versed Call of Duty campaign player in the world, but I did recognize some of the characters and some of the characters in this game as well. So it was okay. You know, it was okay. There's some interesting moments that happen, but it's pretty by the book. And honestly, the ending was very anticlimactic. I'll just go ahead and say that right off the gate. I don't know if this is the same ending as the original Modern Warfare 3, but holy shit, that was so anticlimactic. I was just like I honestly, after the cutscene played, I was like, all right, we must have a couple more missions to do. And then the credits rolled, and I was like, really? Really? That's what we're ending the story on? Okay. You know, that is a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off. But of course, people also love the gameplay in these Call of Duty campaigns. I guess because I can't imagine the stories are ever really that riveting when it comes to these, because it's always the same sort of tropes over and over again. All of these things feel familiar and things that I've played in either other Call of Duty games or other games that are similar to this first-person war style of shooter, whether it's a more, you know, realistic era or a modern era like this game takes place in November of 2023. You know, maybe the rest of this month will end up being very interesting. But the gameplay, I mean, they have to have done something with the gameplay to make it different. Because like I said, I have not really sat down and played through a campaign of Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2. I remember playing like Advanced Warfare, which had like all the futuristic crap into it. Didn't really like that all that much. I've dabbled in other Call of Duty campaigns, but there must be something different about this. You must have gotten a formula and figured out what works and made it work really good in this game. And no, you really didn't. Of course, you play as different characters in different timelines to experience different things from their perspective to bring the whole story in together. One thing that's new in this that I think is a terrible idea is if you've ever played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, you would know about the DMZ missions, where essentially you are just thrust into like an open kind of sandbox-ish map, and then you have to complete different tasks, and you can basically call in for a pickup at any point in time once you've done some of the tasks, and you get rewarded with different sorts of points and leveling up your character within it. You have to secure everything on the map. For some reason, I feel like they wanted to have this be a big part of Modern Warfare 3 campaign, because it starts off and like 2 of the first 3 missions, I believe it is, are actually these DMZ style, where it's like, all right, here's what you need to do. It's kind of a sandboxy map. Go do it. And, you got to find weapons on the map and stuff like that. It's so just, it hits you over the top of the head. It doesn't really allow you any freedom. First and foremost, why are there all these weapon caches just littered around all the place with these high-powered weapons that the enemies themselves are not using? One of the highlights was I had to blow up some helicopters. And so I go to the building adjacent from the helicopter, and there just happens to be an RPG right on top of it, looking down directly on the helicopter. Well, that's convenient. Thank you so much for that. If I'm a war person, I'm an infantryman or something like that, I'm probably not leaving a rocket launcher right next to a very important helicopter, because that doesn't really seem like a smart decision to do, just in case somebody decides to fight back against you. Plus, you're not even on top of this building. I know it's something stupid to hark on, but it's something that genuinely bothers me, because there's stuff like this all throughout the game that literally makes no sort of sense. I don't know if there's different difficulty levels. At the higher difficulty levels, I just played it on the normal difficulty. Maybe that rocket launcher, the RPG, doesn't appear, but it sure as hell does in the normal difficulty, which I feel like most people will go through their first playthrough of the game, and hopefully only playthrough of the game, in the normal setting. Of course, you have the whole fact that then besides those missions, like, they don't really revisit that all that much. Everything else feels kind of cookie cutter from what you've seen in other Call of Duty games. There's actually some very interesting set pieces, and I will give credit where credit is due, and some things that I think could have been memorable. There's something that people are calling like No Russian 2 in this game, meaning that it was supposed to have that same sort of impact. And really, there's 2 instances of that, but the first one just kind of plays out like a cutscene, and you're kind of assessing the damage that is done during that. And then the second one definitely has that sort of No Russian feel to it, but it lacks any sort of soul. It lacks any sort of feeling of any sort of emotion, because when you did No Russian, like, it really swelled up emotions in you. But when you're essentially copy and pasting that formula just in a different setting, instead of an airport, it's now a soccer stadium, like, it loses its lack and less of, something special, something memorable. At this point, you're doing it kind of just to do it, to try and shock the audience. And I don't think it really is very well done. A lot of corridor shooting. You want to blow stuff up. This is another thing I don't understand about the Call of Duty campaigns. You have full control over the campaign, which means that you should be able to do some destructible stuff within this game. I remember playing like freaking Black on the PlayStation 2 and being able to like blow open doors and stuff. There's so much stagnant things within this world that it just takes you out of things so much. You see a TV screen, you try to go up and punch it. No, you can't do that. Why? I don't understand the lack of interactivity within this, especially when you're always pretty much on a predetermined path. You're always going to end up in the same place, and sometimes there might be a slight deviation in how you get there, but it's always going to end up at the same place? If everything is in such control, I don't understand why you're not putting more into the physics of this game, why you're not putting more into the environmental destruction to bring players into the game, because all this does is take players out of the game, in my opinion. Now, there were some missions that I did kind of like. I thought the sniping mission was pretty fun, until I got discovered, and then it just turns into all hell breaking loose. And that's really what happens with the DMZ missions too. Like, once you get spotted, it's very hard to sort of make people forget about you. And even if you start killing them, you just get waves and waves of enemies coming at you. So it's like, you know, what's the point? You might as well just go in guns blazing, run to the objective, put in some armor into yourself so you don't die, and then complete the objective and go on to the next mission. I honestly didn't feel like I was trying to rush through the game or anything like that. I was playing the game as it was, you know, given to me. And because of that, I don't understand why this was released. You know, if all the effort and all the time is being put into the multiplayer section of the game, which I have to assume is the move. I did not play the beta. The multiplayer has not launched for this yet. This is strictly on the campaign side of things. This game, from someone who doesn't play a lot of Call of Duty single player stuff, this game took me, at the very most, it took me 4.5 hours. And I'll be real with you, I had like a 40-minute lunch with my grandma. I also paused the game to take a dump. I paused the game when the mail came, and then I opened up the packages because I like to buy stuff and open up packages every day because it's like Christmas morning. So like, my playtime was probably closer to 3.5 hours. And I beat the game. Like, I got the achievement. I did it. Yay. And now, of course, we have to talk about the glitches. As you have seen at the start of this video, during this mission, the game just decided to have a seizure. And like, that's the best way I could describe it. Now, there were some other glitches around the way, such as lighting glitches, character glitches, bodies doing weird things, physics being all over the place. But this really stood out to me because I didn't do anything to sort of activate this glitch. It seems like it's going to happen to literally everyone who plays this mission. And if you want to play the game, you'll probably play this mission because you want to beat the game. Was there no quality and bug testing done with this? Because it really doesn't feel like there was. So we have a cliche story with a terrible ending. We have a couple interesting set pieces, but with that tried and true Call of Duty gameplay that is dated. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. These single player campaigns are just so dated. They feel like they felt back 20 years ago. You know, it's 2023 now. So, you know, roughly 20 years ago was the sort of start of the Call of Duty phenomenon. Really, it was 2005, but whatever. You know, you guys get what I'm saying. Like, and I don't feel like the formula has ever changed enough. This franchise, I think they need a reboot. Like a complete reboot from the ground up. I'm talking gameplay, graphics, because even the graphics, like the cutscenes, look substantially better than the in-game graphics do. And like, it just seems like, you know, just write some cliche story, try to, you know, enrage people with the missions and stuff like that, touch on real world things and hope that people like it. But at some point in time, you have to realize you've milked this cow to death. You have to reboot this at some point in time. You could keep the multiplayer the same, but change up the story, you know, change up the physics, change up the mission structure, change up the things you do. Because as someone who, you know, if someone is a diehard Call of Duty fan, they're going to be like, I've done all this before. I've done all this before. If I'm saying that as someone who primarily just played Modern Warfare 1 and 2, the original versions, campaigns, and then dabbled in the other things, but I'm seeing things where it's like, I've done this before. I've seen this before. Like, I can't imagine what the diehard audience is feeling with this. This game sucks. Like, that's really what it boils down to. It should be good, and it's not. And I think the fact that you know, Call of Duty is such a money cash cow, you would expect, it's like the Pokemon of first-person shooters. These games should be top tier, pushing technology, you know, pushing boundaries of what video games could do. But instead, they just do the most half-assed thing, and they act like they've never developed a game before in their life. Get it together, Call of Duty. Get it together, Pokemon. I guess thank you for the review code. You might probably regret giving it to me now, but hey, you know, a game that takes me like 3.5 hours to beat, Nah, that's ridiculous. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments. Am I completely wrong on this? Is Modern Warfare 3 the greatest campaign ever? And I just don't appreciate the nuances of it, because I think I laid it on pretty crystal clear what my beef was with this game. And I don't really see how people could necessarily disagree with that, but there's always going to be someone who disagrees with it. So let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Going to delete that campaign right now. Save up those 55 gigabytes of data on my Xbox. Later.